Oklahoma in a state of emergency, plus Hurricane Michael roars towards the U.S. and another opening in the Trump administration. This is OU Nightly.
Strong storms surprised many Oklahomans this morning, tornadoes damaging businesses and causing landmarks like the Oklahoma City Zoo to close for the day. Thanks for joining OU Nightly. I'm Kelsey Hovanetz.
And I'm Cal Day. Breaking news as Governor Mary Fallin has just issued a state of emergency for all 77 counties. The reason is several tornadoes this morning along with heavy winds and continued flooding. The emergency will expire after 30 days. And you're looking at just some of the damage from a tornado in Fairfax, Oklahoma last night that forced the closure of Oklahoma Highway 18. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol says there were minor injuries and downed power lines after the tornado touched down in the small town. Obviously a crazy morning, Kelsey.
Yeah, meteorologist Trey joins us now. Trey, what's the current situation?
Yeah, guys, we had a lot of severe weather this morning, including multiple tornadoes. Now, these are tornado reports over the past 72 hours, so this includes this morning, yesterday, and portions of Sunday as well. We had tornado reports on those days as well. But zooming into the metro here, these are the ones that were close to Norman, just to the northeast of town, near Lake Draper and Lake Thunderbird and portions of Oklahoma County. These are preliminary tornado reports, 7 total across this region, so definitely a wild morning, an interesting morning as well. So going forward, if the graphics computer will cooperate with me here, we will try to see how many rainfall reports. So the graphics computer is, there we go, here we go. Now we have weather headlines, so much cooler weather in store, winter-like temperatures even in some mornings, and Hurricane Michael is in the Gulf. I'll have more on that in main weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Trey. Well, words of warning this morning from Florida Governor Rick Scott in advance of Hurricane Michael.
The time to prepare and make a decision, the time to evacuate is now, not in a few hours. This storm can kill you, and you cannot take it lightly.
At least 120,000 residents along the Florida Panhandle are under orders to evacuate. Michael is currently in the Gulf of Mexico with winds of 110 miles per hour and a possible storm surge of 12 feet. Trey will have more on possible landfall time and damage coming up later on OU Nightly.
And the search continues for 4 missing Texans after extreme flooding at an RV park near Austin. Officials were able to save nearly 40 people, but tonight we know that one woman, and 3 men are still missing. The search began Monday but was called off as darkness fell and more rain set in. Crews are walking the banks of the river, but the current is too strong for boats.
And a Cleveland County deputy pulled a man from a burning car last Wednesday, saving his life. Deputy Kyle Turner, who also serves as a volunteer firefighter for Cedar County Fire, was the first on the scene. Turner was off duty but responded to the call. Equipped with his fire gear, he suited up and pulled the man trapped in the car to safety.
And a surprise for some in Washington, D.C. this morning, and another top official of the Trump administration resigns. Abby Green joins us in the News Center with news of the departure. Abby.
Thanks, Cal. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley announced her resignation this morning after serving 2 years in office. During her term, Haley dealt with a multitude of foreign affairs and conflict, which over time took a toll on her.
I think that the main thing was I was governor for 6 years, and we dealt with a hurricane, a 1,000-year flood, a church shooting, a school shooting. There was a lot, and then to come in and do 2 years of Russia and Iran and North Korea, it's been 8 years of intense time, and I'm a believer in term limits.
President Trump is expected to name a replacement in the next couple of weeks. Haley has said she plans to work through the end of the year. After a very controversial Senate confirmation, Justice Brett Kavanaugh is now in office. Kavanaugh began work immediately after being sworn in on Saturday. The new justice proceeded to hire 4 female clerks and also spoke to the court for his first arguments and questions. Due to the many sexual allegations against him, Kavanaugh's critics remain unhappy with the Senate decision. Several critics plan to continue their protests against him. And new information about the deadly limo crash. The owner of the limo is said to be a paid FBI informant known for working in a series of controversial domestic terrorism investigations. Records show the limousine was owned by a Pakistani immigrant, Shahid Hussain. Hussein, along with an Albany area businessman, started going undercover for the FBI after facing legal trouble. The limo company was registered at a low-budget hotel that belonged to Hussein. The driver's family lawyers are continuing to investigate. The crash is being called one of the deadliest transportation accidents since 2009. And Cal, this weekend, former President George Bush's daughter Barbara got married at their compound in Maine.
All right, thank you, Abby. Nearly a century after one of the most horrific incidents in American history, the city of Tulsa will reinvestigate whether there are mass graves that left hundreds of people dead.
For 2 days, beginning May 31st, 1921, a white mob set fire to hundreds of black-owned businesses and homes in Greenwood neighborhood. This massacre left 36 people dead. More than 10,000 people were left homeless, and 40 blocks of Tulsa were left in flames. Survivors recounted bodies being loaded on trains and dumped off bridges into the Arkansas River, and more commonly, tossed into mass graves. Now, as Tulsans prepare to commemorate the massacre centennial in 2021, conversations surrounding the decades-old massacre are increasing as Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum announced on Facebook last week that he would be opening up an investigation into the existence of mass graves from the massacre.
Mayor Bynum, because he is, I don't remember, 4 or 5 generation Tulsan, is very cognizant of Tulsa's history, both the good and bad. In fact, he was on the board of the Tulsa Historical Society and Museum for a number of years and very interested in our city's history.
The investigation will look at New Block Park, Booker T. Washington Cemetery, and here at Oak Lawn Cemetery. These 3 sites were mentioned in a 2001 report stating they had the greatest potential for mass graves within the Tulsa city limits.
My understanding in the cemetery that there are a number of graves that we definitely know about that are very close to this area. So you have to take great care to be respectful of others who were also buried there.
Almost 2 decades after the first search of the graves, technology has drastically improved. So researchers hope that will mean new possibilities. Reporting from Tulsa, Harlee Toothman, OU Nightly.
Tulsa's mayor said it could take months before he's able to announce more details about the investigation. Researchers say they're meeting with Tulsa city leaders to discuss the mass graves this week.
Well, in June, Oklahomans voted to legalize medical marijuana in the state. Now voters in Michigan and North Dakota will decide if the recreational pot should be legal for adults over 21. They would become the 10th and 11th states to legalize pot since 2012. University of Michigan professor Rebecca Haffage says the country may be at a breaking point where change is inevitable at the federal level.
Good news for Oklahoma businesses, bad news for your wallet. Find out how gas prices in Oklahoma stack up against other states.
Plus, a satellite launch that created quite the buzz on social media. Don't go anywhere.
Fall is here and the temperatures are starting to drop, but if you've paid at the pump lately, you may notice gas prices have not. The price of oil is as high as it's been since 2014, which is traditionally good for Oklahoma's bottom line, but it's pushing prices at the pump higher across the country. In Oklahoma, consumers are paying nearly 50 cents more than this time last year. However, prices in the state are still cheaper than the national average by nearly 20 cents.
And Tesla's Elon Musk and social media have not been a great combo lately, but Sunday night's satellite launch of SpaceX might have helped that. Sammi Steele is here with the latest on the rocket launch.
Kelsey, Musk's SpaceX company successfully launched a satellite into space from California. The launch created quite the display and had social media buzzing. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti tweeted about the display, saying citizens were not seeing aliens in the night sky. They were seeing SpaceX. SpaceX is developing reusable rockets in a bid to save costs and attract business. Sunday night, the Falcon 9 rocket launched an Argentine Earth-observing satellite, and then its booster stage returned to Vandenberg Air Force Base for an on-target landing, the first done on the West Coast. The satellite will also track natural disasters, crop fields, soil moisture levels from 385 miles above Earth. And in Poland, the bones of a Neanderthal child that date back over 115,000 years were discovered by scientists. The finger bones appear to have come from a child around 5 or 7 years old, who researchers say was eaten by a giant bird. Before this finding, the oldest human remains found in Poland were around 50,000 years old. Neanderthals are believed to have gone extinct around 38,000 years ago, having emerged in Europe more than 400,000 years ago. And the annual king tides are back in Florida and flooding coastal streets. So what makes this year different? Well, the water may be full with red tide, the toxic algae that kills fish and causes respiratory problems in people. King tides are the colloquial term for the highest high tides of the year, which happen from September to November. But this week they are expected to peak until Saturday. And Cal and Kelsey, a Michigan man, curious about a rock he had been using for a doorstop, he got quite the surprise because it turns out that doorstop is a meteorite worth $100,000. The 23-pound hunk of iron and nickel is the 6th largest meteorite ever found in Michigan.
Thanks, Sammi. Well, as midterm elections approach, OU Student Congress is encouraging students to get out and vote. The voting rate for OU students in 2012 was only 41.2%, which increased in 2016 to 48.6%. Although student participation tends to dip in the midterm elections, Student Congress says elections impact the direction of our government at local, state, and federal levels, and especially impact the University of Oklahoma as a public university. The Undergraduate Student Congress encourages eligible students to register and vote by the October 12th deadline.
Well, the MLB playoff picture is becoming more clear. Stick around to find out who's still alive.
Plus, meteorologist Trey is tracking Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, guys, hurricane season is not over. Another major hurricane affecting the U.S. I'll have more info after the break. Hey guys, welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm student meteorologist Trey Bell. This right here is Hurricane Michael, a currently Category 3 hurricane that will be affecting the Gulf Coast of the United States over the next several days. So here it is as it makes its northward motion. Here is the Florida Panhandle. So impact is expected tomorrow, landfall. Here are current watches and warnings. Hurricane warnings in effect in this bright orange. In the duller colors, hurricane watches in effect further up the coast. And so here is the track of Hurricane Michael, currently positioned in the Gulf of Mexico as a Category 3 hurricane. And by tomorrow afternoon, landfall is expected in the Florida Panhandle, still as a Category 3 hurricane. So dangerous storm surge, extreme flooding across this region. And over the next several days, this disturbance will continue to move off into the Atlantic. And so on its way, it will cause extreme flooding in other regions of the United States as well. So bringing it back here, here is the Oklahoma City cam. Notice that low cloud cover. We've had that all day, as well as rainfall most of the day. Current temperature 66 here in Norman, 67 in Oklahoma City. Notice 45 in Guymon. That's where the cold front has already moved through, so chilly weather is on the way. For the remainder of the evening, showers and thunderstorms will exist in eastern Oklahoma as they push east. And as we play this out, as we're waking up tomorrow morning, we're not dealing with that any longer. Check this out across the entire state throughout the day tomorrow. Sun. We have no rain in the forecast in Oklahoma, but chilly weather is in store. So here's that wind forecast. Here's the cold front positioned. This yellow color here is where the southerly winds meet the northerly winds. Let's advance this through as it pushes across the state. By 10 p.m. tonight, it moves through the Oklahoma City metro and continues to advance east. And by tomorrow morning, as we're waking up, northerly winds will have overtaken all of Oklahoma, and it will be much chillier. But winds will relax throughout the day. Southerly winds also begin to return in western Oklahoma, and that will be the case through the remainder of the state as well heading into Thursday. So evening planner dramatically cooler by midnight as that cold front moves through. Lows tonight 46 degrees here in Norman. Day planner tomorrow a high temperature by 5 p.m. of 60 degrees. 60 in Oklahoma City, 59 for a high, and Enid tomorrow 64 in Lawton. And your 2-day forecast, much cooler weather, full sun tomorrow as well. So 60s, stick with us. We have more rain chances for this weekend, especially on Saturday. 50s return. So guys, we have another rain chance in store heading into this weekend. And we also keep that cooler weather around as well.
All right, Trey, I'm about tired of all this rain.
Yeah, me too. It gets old after a while once it rains weekend after weekend.
That's right. Thanks, Trey. And who dat? It's a new all-time passing leader in the NFL.
Parker Thune is here with more. Parker?
Yeah, Cal and Kelsey, Drew Brees made NFL history last night in a near-flawless performance. Plus, Lincoln Riley spoke to the media yesterday in the aftermath of his decision to fire Mike Stoops. Hear what he had to say when we come back. You're watching OU Nightly. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Parker Thune, and it's now time for a look into the world of sports. Of course, the big news locally this week is the shakeup in the Sooner football coaching staff. Here's Coach Lincoln Riley to address the firing of Mike Stoops.
Probably the hardest day I've had here as a head coach for sure. Tough because I know what Mike's meant to this program. The kind of guy he is, kind of friend he's been to me. Been through a lot together with him, so very difficult.
And the OU women's gymnastics team will release their finalized home schedule later this week. Last night, Sooner gymnasts Nicole Lehrman and Alex Marks joined Sooner Sports Pad to discuss the prestigious programs that will be visiting the Lloyd Noble Center this season.
I'm super excited because a lot of those crowds, they like to travel, and so hopefully we're going to have some really big crowds and see all the students there to watch us and support us. So yeah, we hope to see you guys there.
And for the full story, be sure to tune in to the re-airing of Sooner Sports Pad immediately following this newscast on OU TV. And switching gears to the MLB, the Los Angeles Dodgers ended the Atlanta Braves season last night behind a crucial 3-run homer from Manny Machado. They'll now face the Milwaukee Brewers with a World Series berth at stake. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, how about Brock Holt and the Red Sox? Holt becomes the first player in MLB history to hit for the cycle in the postseason as the Red Sox roll the Yankees 16-1 and take a 2-1 series lead. Game 4 will be played tonight at 7 o'clock. And as we get deeper into an October that promises wild developments across the sports world, we now turn to Sydney Forsee. And Sydney, exactly what is it that you foresee this week?
Well, Parker, the world of sports has been a whirlwind lately, but here is what I see happening in the future. The MLB playoffs are heating up and the World Series is right around the corner. I foresee the Astros and the Dodgers winning both of their leagues to set up an epic rematch from last year. I believe the Astros will come out to be on top and become back-to-back champs. And with Mike Stoops out as the Sooners' defensive coordinator, I foresee a very stressful season ahead for OU's defensive team. The team will have to rebuild under the new leadership of Ruffin McNeil, but by the end of the season, fans may see a glimpse of an unstoppable defensive line. And after this weekend's UFC fight that ended in an all-out brawl, Conor McGregor wants a rematch, and a rematch is exactly what he will get. McGregor will come back with more stamina and vengeance against Khabib, but I see the Eagle being victorious once again in the end. And that's what I foresee in sports right now. Back to you at the desk, Parker.
Thanks so much, Sydney. Last night on Monday Night Football, New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees reached a memorable milestone. The 39-year-old gunslinger gets good pocket protection here, and he's going to go up top to Traquan Smith, and the young receiver does the rest. A 62-yard score for New Orleans. With this throw and catch, Brees broke the NFL record for career passing yardage, and to top it all off, the Saints dominated the Redskins 43-19. And the man whose mark Brees surpassed had some mixed emotions about it. Take a look as Peyton Manning congratulates the NFL's new passing yardage king.
Drew, for 1,000 days, I've held the record for all-time passing yards in the NFL. I gotta tell you, it's been the greatest 1,000 days of my life. And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.
And y'all, I'm just glad that Peyton Manning, even though he's retired, is still a part of our everyday lives.
I agree. I'm a big Peyton Manning girl myself, so it's really good to see him.
All right, thank you, Parker. Well, Kelsey, it's trash day at my house.
Same for me. You'll want to stick around to see why Tootmates really enjoy trash day.
I'm Candace Coonrod at the update desk. The search continues for 2 missing teenage boys in Johnston County. The pair texted friends Sunday afternoon with plans to swim in Pennington Creek. A search team has been on the scene since midnight Sunday. Excessive rainfall has prompted Governor Mary Fallin to declare a state of emergency for all 77 Oklahoma counties. Back to you, Cal and Kelsey.
Thanks, Candace. Well, taking out the trash has a whole new meaning. Take a look at this video.
2 inmates at a Kentucky prison used trash cans to make their great escape. Authorities say the suspects were rolled out in the bins, by their fellow inmates. When the coast was clear, they popped out and headed for the exit.
Luckily, the suspects were caught by the police later, and the 3 men who helped them escape are now facing charges. You know, I'm going to have to keep that one in mind just in case, ever end up behind bars.
Yeah, that's the wildest thing I've seen today.
What a plan.
And Trey, Hurricane Michael upgraded today, right?
Yes, just an hour ago it was upgraded by the National Hurricane Center to a Category 3 hurricane, and it is expected to make landfall as a Category 3 in the Florida Panhandle. So dangerous storm surge is possible, also extreme flooding, not only in Florida, but further inland as well into Georgia and South Carolina.
All right, thank you, Trey.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.